Maggie was tired when she looked at the clock at 8:06 p.m. No wonder she was feeling exhausted, she had been at work a bit over 12 hours. She was a CPA and it was tax season, long hours were required, especially if you wanted to be noticed in the company in hope for promotion. She was ambitious and wanted partner status as soon as she was qualified for consideration. But now it was time to head home until tomorrow when she faced the same grind. She had checked the weather and traffic. It had been snowing all afternoon and the southbound expressway that she normally drove was backed up for miles by several accidents. She was very familiar with the city and knew side streets that had little use at that time of night, so she was not worried about getting home, especially since she had a four-wheel drive car. She gathered her coat and purse as she headed out of her office to her car. Fortunately it was parked underground so she would not have to immediately deal with a snow and ice-covered car. She put the car in four-wheel drive and headed out into the night, looking forward to a relaxing bath when she arrived home. Her husband, Max, was out of town on a business trip. She would arrive home to an empty house, but she was used to that. He was an engineer for a big company with government contracts. Travel was frequently required to Washington to meet with clients. A glass of wine would be all she needed for the night. She and Max had been married for 10 years and their life had dwindled with time. They had talked about it on several occasions. They both wanted the care more, but the demands of their careers had just slowed them both down. As she drove she enjoyed the white snow, as yet mostly untouched by the vehicles that would soon turn it brown. She headed south on a 4-lane road that, at one time, had been a major artery, but the expressways had long since taken much of its traffic. It was lined with businesses and offices, largely old since the road went through one of the oldest and run-down parts of the city. All the side streets had homes built chiefly just before or after World War II. Most were clapboarded with a few bricks ones here and there. The area had declined for years and now housed low-income families. She and her husband knew the area because they volunteered on weekends at a food bank in the area. She had no safety worries, although the people were poor there was no gang activity. As she cruised down the street she did not see the large pothole hidden by the snow. Suddenly the car lurched, the steering wheel twisted in her hands and the car shuddered, all from the right front tire dropping into the hole. It was now hard to steer and she heard a flapping noise. She turned onto a side street and parked under a street lamp. A quick inspection showed that the front tire had blown out. She knew the car had a spare tire but had no idea how to change it. She called AAA. They told her they would be there, but it would be at least 2 hours due to the weather and the calls ahead of her. As she was thinking about what to do, a man, wearing a hoodie, came walking down the street carrying a brown grocery bag. He saw her problem and stopped to see if he could help her. "Evening ma'am, I see you have a bit of a problem. I'll be glad to help if you would like." "Oh yes please. Anything you can do I would really appreciate." "Well my name is Charlie," he said as he put his bag down. "Let's check your spare tire and jack. I'll see if we can get you back on the road. Please hit the button to open the car's rear hatch." "Thank you Charlie. My name is Margaret but everyone calls me Maggie. I'll get that open right now." The lock clicked and the rear door raised open. Charlie lifted the cover to retrieve the spare and the jack. As he was beginning to get it out he discovered it had little or no air in it. "This is not good ma'am. Your spare tire seems to be flat also and all the garages in the area are closed at this time of night. I have called AAA but it is at least a 2-hour wait and don't call me ma'am, I am Maggie," she said with a big smile. "You can't stay out in this weather. This house just in front of us is where I stay. 4 of us rent it and have for several years. We all work in construction trades. The house is old but we keep it up for the owner in return for a good deal on the rent. You should have no worries, we are all very respectful of women and since you are familiar with the area and its people you may enjoy your wait. You never know, the wait for the repair truck could at least be interesting. I really appreciate the offer Charlie and I have no worries. I am sure I will enjoy meeting your friends and drinking one of those beers that you have in the bag. You noticed that, did you? Well, we are watching a basketball game and ran out. I was coming back from that convenience store down the block. Did you have dinner? No, and I am starving. We will fix you up with some pizza to go with the beer. Sounds good, let's go. They walked the short distance to the house and he opened the door for her. She walked in, with Charlie right behind her, to see two guys sitting on a couch watching TV. They were intent on the game and did not look up. Charlie, what took so long? Man, we need a beer. They turned just as she was taking off her coat. Who is this beautiful lady? Remember your manners. This is Maggie. Her car broke down and I offered her a warm house, a beer and some pizza while she waits for help. So cool your jets and have a beer, he said as he tossed a can to each of them. Maggie laid her coat over a chair and she turned to face them. This was the first time Charlie and the others really got a good look at her. She was in high heels, wearing a black straight skirt, a white silk blouse and a black jacket. She also removed her jacket, placed it with her coat and then stepped out of her heels. At 32 she had a great figure. Even though her love life had slowed down, she still loved to dress for effect. She knew it was a good effect. She smiled to herself and straightened her shoulders a bit as she felt all their eyes watching her. Accepting a beer from Charlie, she checked them out as they did her. Charlie quickly introduced the two guys on the couch. That is Andre, who made those somewhat obnoxious comments, and Marcus is the quiet one. She laughed and sat on the couch to get to the pizza. Don't worries, I have no objection to being admired by such nice men. A girl enjoys being appreciated. Pass me that pizza, please. Marcus handed her a piece on a paper towel. Suddenly a door just a few feet down the hallway opened and a man walked out looking at the floor as he rubbed his wet head with a towel. Charlie, get back with that beer yet? At the same time Charlie yelled, Raleigh, get back in the bathroom. Raleigh looked up, baffled by Charlie yelling at him. Who is that? He leapt back into the bathroom. Sorry about that, Maggie, he obviously did not know you were here. That is Raleigh. I am sure he is very embarrassed. No problem, she stammered. She put the pizza down and took a long deep drink of the cold beer. Just then Raleigh came out, followed by Charlie. He had gone in there to explain Maggie to Raleigh so there would be no more accidents or misunderstandings. Raleigh walked over to the couch and apologized to her, explaining he had no idea they had a visitor, especially one so beautiful. She tried to maintain eye contact but her eyes kept glancing at his. Don't worry about it, Raleigh. I know you did not do it on purpose, and like I told your roommates, it is not the first time I have seen. She had another long drink and tried to blot out the image and resulting thoughts by concentrating on the TV. It was not really working. She wondered what was going through the minds of the four men with her. The men had exchanged glances several times after Raleigh had made his surprise appearance. After realizing that her emotion was not going to disappear, she decided to just talk with Charlie privately if she could. He had been nothing but well-mannered and considerate of her, so she felt comfortable with him, felt she could have a calm conversation. Charlie, would it be okay if we had a conversation somewhere more private? Sure, but really the only place is my R00M. If that is okay with you. That's fine. I know you are a gentleman. She levered herself up off the couch, straightened her clothes and followed him as he headed down the hall. He opened the second door and stood aside so she could go first. He followed and closed the door behind them. I only have the one chair. Why don't you sit there and I will just sit on the edge? She did, and after a few moments of silence, he asked her what was on her mind. I don't want you to get the wrong idea because I am a married woman and have never cheated on my husband. Having said that, I am really curious about something and I feel I can trust you. Can I? I don't know what is on your mind, but you can trust me to help you in any way I can. Okay. So here is the thing. He does not know I saw, I did not want to embarrass him but I watched. When I saw Raleigh I was amazed and truthfully. Charlie chuckled and immediately told her he was not laughing at her but rather the situation. If you think you are excited, how do you think four guys seeing a woman as pretty as you in their house feel? So what is it that you are so curious about? She blushed and said, well, I would like to know just how common is it for a man to have such an endowment. I understand your curiosity. It is certainly not all black guys. Plenty are just like other guys, but the percentages are higher in the African American population. Take the four of us for example. It is probably a bit unusual, but we all are like Raleigh. Maggie looked startled. You mean you are like Raleigh? Pretty much, he said chuckling. Oh my God, I can't believe it. He smiled and hopefully said, do you want confirm? She just sat there quietly. Her head down, staring at the floor, thinking. He did not say anything else. The silence was deafening. Finally she whispered, yes, I would like to see. Can you guess what happens next? Maggie started thinking about the whole evening. First Max. Then the flat. Charlie's help. Raleigh's surprise. Her curiosity. Her decision. The extent of the experience. Lastly her guilt. She decided Charlie was right. What happened, happened. Telling Max anything to try to make her feel better would probably result in divorce or at least an extremely strained relationship for a long time. Besides, in the final analysis, she really did not regret anything. It would be stored in a deep recess of her mind. Charlie came into the room. Seriously, we still need to deal with your car. AAA will be here soon to tow it. Give me your AAA card and license and I will take care of it. Then we will talk about what to do with you for the rest of the night. She gave him the cards. AAA did come and Charlie dealt with the truck driver, having the car towed to the dealer she requested. As she came back into the room, Charlie came back also, reporting his success getting her car on its way. Enjoying something you perv, she joked with him. Just the view my sweet thing, just the view. He told her about the current weather, snowing harder, and recommended she spend the night since Max was away and she had her cell phone if he called. She was really tired, not looking forward to the trip to her house, she agreed. Good decision.